every year we do it outdoor at the pavilion, and we always end up having to do the rain date. So today, if we would have done it outdoor at the pavilion, I don't know if we would have done it or not because it's pretty cloudy and it's rain. We'd have probably moved it in anyway, so it's probably a good move we made it here. Let's go ahead and start off by introducing our department heads who are sitting in front of you today. Donna, go ahead and pass the microphone through.
Matt Muda, Hammond Sanitary District.
Marty Wolgis, Hammond Sanitary District.
Chris Sakalaris, Legal Aid Clinic.
Amanda Oswald, Housing Authority.
Dennis Radowski, United Neighborhoods, Inc.
Sharon Daniels, Personnel and College Bound.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance.
Jason Donovan, Public Works.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental.
City Engineer Dean Button.
Chris Cantar, Law Department.
John Doty, Hammond Police Department.
Mark Kalwinski, First District Councilman.
Africa Tarver, Planning and Development.
Heather Gray, City Controller.
Mila Krasinski, Port Authority.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department.
Jaime Prieto, Code Enforcement.
Kelly Crooney, Inspections Department. Mark Heinz, Parks and Recreation.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Ann Anderson, Economic Development.
Owana Miller, Community Development.
Ed Crusoe, Waterworks.
Oh, is that it? Sorry. Hi, everybody. First Mayor's Night Out since summertime, so I appreciate everybody coming out. To remind you how this works, we have a lot of written questions, and those are going to take priority today. We have over 15 written questions already. We're going to go through those. We ask if you want to ask a question in a crowd as large as this to please submit a written question. It's probably the easiest way to do it, okay? If we get onto a topic, I asked Donna to group them together. Let's say there's multiple questions about the same topic. We'll try to cover all those questions at one shot so we don't have to do it 4 different times, okay? If you have a follow-up question about that topic, if we have enough time, please raise your hand and we'll try to get to you. I'd like to thank Hammond City Clerk Robert Golick. Thank you very much, Clerk Golick. I'd like to thank our host councilperson, First District Councilman Mark Kalwinski. Thank you very much, Councilman. I'm going to do the quick scan around the room. I know Councilman at Large Robert Markovich is here. Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman at Large Dan Spitali. Thank you very much, Councilman. I'm going to take a stab that she's here because she's always here in the audience. Councilwoman at Large Janet Venez, are you here? Yeah, I took a gamble. Okay. We got 4th District Councilman Bill Emerson. Thank you very much, Councilman Emerson. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Okay, I think I got them all. All right, outstanding. So thank you for the elected officials for showing up. If I see any more, if they walk in, I'll recognize them. We appreciate you coming out to Mayor's Night. Let's go ahead and get started with the first question, Donna.
Mayor, we'll kick it off with engineering.
Okay.
We've got several in regards to traffic lights, street crossings, things of that nature. There's several side street traffic lights in Hammond that change to green if no one's coming out from them. That stops traffic on Calumet and blocks traffic. One's on Calumet to the entrance to the toll road. There is no cross street there, only the entrance. Traffic coming from the north, people have to wait. The light changes even if no one is in the left turning lane coming from the south. Can this be changed?
First off, before Dean, I want to introduce Dean Button in a second. I would like to point out that Dean is a resident of Robertsdale. He purchased a home quite a few years ago, took over for Stan Dostotny, also a resident of the 1st District when he retired. One of the reasons we have you write your name down, and you don't have to write your name down if you want to do anonymous questions, that's allowed, okay? But one of the reasons we want you to put your name and address down is so that Donna, once she's done with the questions, she'll give them to Dean, and he could follow up literally step by step if you have a particular. Because sometimes during Mayor's Night, especially in a crowd this large, we start talking about like a issue that applies to your house. It's super important to you, we get that. But sometimes it's better just to take care of those one at a time. So with that being said, I want to introduce Dean Button, Water Gardens resident.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for having us.
By the way, interesting fact about Dean, he worked for the company SEH that was the master planner, basically, that helped us do everything we did around Wolf Lake. So he believed in it so much, he moved to Hammond right in the middle of the process. So I always appreciated that. So anyway.
Thank you. Very true, Mayor. Thank you.
Standing ovation. There's people standing out there clapping. So.
And I enjoy where I live now. I'm very, very excited to be a Hammond resident
Thank you.
and now a city engineer. Particularly, that question relates to Calumet Avenue, as I understood it. And Calumet Avenue is US 41, which is controlled by the Indiana State Department of Transportation. And I can certainly reach out to NDOT and see what's going on. That's a route that I travel to work every day, along with many of the other department heads. And I haven't particularly noticed that issue, but I would say that we do have a lot of construction going on around. We've had some areas of concern around Holman Avenue near Chicago Street. We've had some concerns with the construction on Chicago Street, and those have caused some problems relative to our traffic signals, and we've been working really hard to try to make sure we're okay with that. But I'll particularly look at Calumet at the toll road and see if there's something that can be done. I would also say at that location, there has to be loop detection, or there's sensors in the pavement that measure whether there's someone there or not. If those loop detectors aren't present, then there's a timed cycle. So it would be just a cycle that you have to sit through. If there is loop detection, then we can obviously make adjustments to that. So we'd be happy to take a look at that.
Do me a favor, please. And if you want to, if it's a particular address or a particular issue you have, and it really doesn't apply to the whole group, you're more than welcome to come up and talk to Dean right after the event's over as well. Are there any particular ones we had, like widespread issues that we should cover with Dean? By the way, Dean just celebrated a birthday on Sunday. I just want to say happy birthday to Dean. So I would tell you his age if I knew it. I don't know it, so. Donna, do you want to cover any more in specific on those? Or?
Pretty general, Mayor. I can just give them all to Dean and he can follow up. They all have phone numbers and addresses.
How many of them are there?
One's kind of general about the speed limit. That's 25 miles an hour on Calumet.
Speed limit on Calumet? Okay. Chief, you want to talk about that? Yeah. Chief John Doty, also a resident of Robertsdale, funny enough. Chief?
Yeah, we've talked.
You look like you haven't slept that much, Chief. Everything all right?
Working a lot of hours lately, Mayor. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
As you know.
Yeah. Didn't mean to call you out.
That's okay.
So.
We've taken interest in a couple of our speed zone. Dean's helped us out with them. We fixed Holman Avenue about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, Holman Avenue had what, like 10 different speed changes?
It was all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, from here to from south to Robertsdale. It was just ridiculous. It was up and down. We're mainly talking right now about the 25 mile an hour that goes in front of City Hall. And we've addressed at Crime Watches and civic meetings before. And,
it's 25 miles in front of City Hall?
25 miles an hour. Because there is a school. We do believe that if it is another state highway, as Dean pointed out, but we would support them redoing that 35 miles an hour because all summer and while school's in attendance, it's a large 4-lane street and there's no reason for it not to be a higher speed limit, except for when the kids are coming in going from school, which we could easily regulate with signage and flashing lights. But again, that's something for the state to do. So we suggest you contact them directly, and Dean can contact them for you, and we can see if we can move that along.
Attorney Cantar, she's our corporate counsel. She's been with us from day one. Could you add some on that also? I know you were instrumental in Holman Avenue when we were...
Holman Avenue is easy. It just required an ordinance change because it's a city street, but Calumet Avenue is 41 for a portion, and it's a state highway. And so we are limited, and NDOT has to make that decision. However, if that's, we'd have to put in some flashing lights for the school. And that.
Do you think we could draft a letter and send it to NDOT? And I'm on NERC, and I could follow it up at NERC as well.
Sure, no problem.
I mean, it's a legitimate issue, and obviously there's a lot of people here, and I know that this affects all of us because we all drive Calumet. Except for right now, we're not driving too much on Calumet because of the railroad tracks, but I saw you guys earlier today. Mm-hmm. Hammond High. Gotcha. That's pretty ridiculous. I dare say I'm probably breaking the law quite often, and I don't even realize it. So, but realistically, though, Chief, do you guys enforce a 25 mile an hour speed limit in that? Right. I know in front of City Hall, like when school is in session, we crack down on that area. Right. But this is a great issue. I'm glad you brought it up. Attorney Cantar is really great at writing letters to state agencies. They're funny and biting, and we will follow this up and see if we could do something to clear this whole thing up like we did on Holman. And this was the same issue we went through on Holman Avenue. I think from the Munster border to downtown Hammond, the speed changed like 10 times. So we changed it and we made it consistent. So this is a great recommendation. I appreciate it. Okay. Any other good ones we should follow up? I know the whole packet you got is going to be given to the city engineer, and they will follow up their specific complaints. But with so many people here, we want to hit the big picture topics, if you don't mind.
The INDOT, what did they say about the southbound Borman exit at Indy Boulevard where vehicles cross 3 lanes of traffic to go into Interstate Plaza?
Okay. The southbound, oh, yeah.
By Cabela's.
There's a couple of bad intersections in my neighborhood. It's funny to talk about them when you're in the first district, but that would be one of them. If you're heading east on 8094 and you get off to go to South Bend, Indy, and let's say you want to go to Starbucks, happens to me a couple times a day, you have to get off and literally get left quick. Another bad area, same kind of situation as southbound on Kennedy going the same direction on 8094. In fact, that was a big obstacle for us when we were developing Oxbow, which we call Oxbow Landing now. People said they're never going to be able to make that left-hand turn. They're not going to want to make that left-hand turn, and it's developing rather nicely, which is nice. But I get it. This is also state highway, and it's the way they designed it. Phil, I know Phil was head of planning and development. Africa, actually, congratulations, has recently been announced as our RDA appointment and as the head of planning and development. So could you give her a big round of applause? Phil, you was in that role during much of the time we were dealing with this same type of issue at Oxbow, right?
Correct. The Indianapolis Boulevard exit, you actually, if you get off on that exit, you could go to the right, and it takes you on a separate path where it takes you to, it might be called Cabela Drive, and then you could turn left there and just go straight across. If you go that route, you don't have to worry about going over 3 lanes very quickly. It's a safer way of doing it. I think it's probably more appropriate. As far as the Kennedy Avenue, that one's a little tougher. Unless you want to pull into the area where we have the county visitor center, you could try and go over 3 lanes. I've done it many times. Typically, there's not a ton of traffic coming from the north, so I haven't had as many issues. However, if traffic is heavy, I'd suggest you turn right towards the Wendy's and kind of go through in the parking lot, turn around there, and then just cross Kennedy Avenue that way. It'd be a lot safer if you're worried about it.
Good points. Well, we're in the same neighborhood. Going north, if you're heading west on 8094 and you're going north on the boulevard, a common complaint we get is the traffic that jumps over real quick because they want to turn left at 175th and go to Gavitt High School. That one is straight dangerous. They do it often, and it is, or they get into the intersection because they don't take that hard left. They get into the intersection and they try to make the turn from the intersection. So that actually is one of the more dangerous intersections in the city, in my opinion. But technically, the most dangerous intersection in the city, is it still Calumet and Gosselin? Calumet and Gosselin, most wrecks in any intersection in the city of Hammond. So, Dean, I know you wanted to chime in on this, city engineer.
Yeah, one additional point, Mayor, is that we were asked by police department to take a look at Interstate Plaza at Indianapolis Boulevard of Cabela's Drive. So we called the local technical assistance program from Purdue University, and we had their group, so they're called LTAP. Their group, a local engineer, a representative from NERC, the police department, and engineering, and an engineering consultant pro bono came up and did a review of that particular intersection. We have a report back from them. The state has decided they were going to do a more formal traffic study at that location, so that's still pending, but we do have some recommendations at that location at Indianapolis Boulevard, Cabela's Drive, to hopefully make some changes fairly soon.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and keep on plugging away. We got a lot of questions, so Donna, want to go ahead and hit the next one?
Next question, sir.
Yeah.
A lot of concern about the intersection at 121st and Calumet. People don't stop, and it's the intersection and crossing for the Clark School children.
Right. Okay. Hammond Police Chief lives about 2 blocks from there, so I'm going to defer to the Hammond Police Chief on this one.
We're currently doing grants right now, and the officers are out 7 to 9 every morning And I'll just put that on the list, and I'll get to it. I'll spend some time there myself, as it is my neighborhood, and we'll see if we can stop some of that traffic during, the high volume would be before and after school. That's the highest volumes it is. And there's a lot of bus traffic through there also, so we'll pay some special attention to that area for you.
Thank you, Chief. And by the way, I want to remind you, do me a favor, Donna, notate that one to go to the Chief of Police, please. We take all your questions and forward it to remind, so the Chief says that, and then he shows up in his office, and tomorrow he gets a memo from Donna that says, hey, don't forget you told the crowd you're going to follow up 121st in Calumet. Okay? That's why we do it, and we have your address, so we can send you a nice little letter and say thank you for your complaint. We're following it up. All right? So, Donna?
Mayor, can you put the mic closer or bend it closer to you? A lot of people are saying they can't hear you.
I really don't get that
Which is
complaint very
unusual.
often. I'm pretty loud.
Normally,
I usually
we
can
have
go
you turn it
bare
down.
voice. Okay. Bad acoustics. Okay. I'm usually very loud. People ask me usually to quiet down. So
Can you give an update on the Klein Avenue Bridge?
that's going to be the easiest question of the night. No. It's like, I want to point out, Councilman Kowinski, myself, a number of other Hammond City Council people took a high-profile role when the decision was made by the Indiana state government not to rebuild that bridge. A lot of the problems we're experiencing today with our infrastructure is because that bridge was shut down with no thought, no regard to the local communities, especially Hammond, Whiting, East Chicago, Gary to a certain extent, but I think Hammond, Whiting, and East Chicago are the three most affected communities. Obviously, I don't have to tell you all living up in this neck of the woods how bad of a deal that was for us. Last I heard, it's funny, I was thinking about this just a couple days ago as I was going through some old notes, and I saw a picture of the new Klein Avenue Bridge that's supposed to be under construction right now. Last I heard, 225 to 250 tolls each direction, 2-lane bridge. 1 lane going this way, 1 lane going this way. If you're going to work every day and you're planning on using that bridge, it's $5 a day. I don't think it's fair. I think we're being treated differently, but nobody really cares downstate. We know what it's like. You know, I've seen bridges go down across the state of Indiana and get rebuilt like that. Major bridges go down, bam, right back up, prioritized. We got to get this done. This is an emergency. Klein Avenue Bridge went down. A lot of people sold us out. A lot of people sold us out. A lot of groups sold us out. We got sold out. And I want you to know that your elected officials in Hammond were on the front line. I almost got arrested in Gary, along with our special events coordinator. Donna, is that an understatement? Did you listen? You weren't listening.
I was reading the next question.
Sorry.
My bad.
Did you all tell me about the day?
I'm moving ahead
Good. I'm glad
here.
you weren't. I'm glad you weren't listening. Tell me about the day you went to Gary and we were doing a protest with Mitch Daniels.
Oh, I almost got cuffed and arrested for being in the street.
And Donna's a very pleasant person. And she almost got, I thought for sure we were getting arrested. They were saying, you step 1 foot off that sidewalk. 1 foot off, and it was the Gary police saying that to us. 1 foot off that sidewalk and we will arrest you. And they were not joking. And Donna came pulling up right after they warned us, and she stopped in the street. She had no idea we got this warning.
I had like 100 signs with
She had all these protest signs, so she stops literally on 5th Avenue, and she's like, hey, Mayor! She's like taking all these signs out, and the police chief was burning up. But we didn't get arrested. That's a happy story. But I want you to know we fought hard. We got sold out by a lot of people, and it's, you know, I can get into particulars, but it just causes problems. But we got sold out, and if it's rebuilt, they say it's going to be rebuilt. If it's rebuilt, it's going to cost us $250 at least each way. And they say if after they build the first two, 1 lane going this way, 1 lane going this way, 1 bridge, if that's successful, they'll build a second one. So you'd have 2 lanes going in each direction. If it's not successful, it'll never come back. At least we'll have 1 lane, I guess. That's the status last I heard. They had a groundbreaking some time back. I'm not sure if it's actually gone forward. I'll check it out, actually. So, anyway.
Next up.
Hold it. Dean, you hear anything on that Klein Avenue? No, it's not your jurisdiction, but.
Well, I have something to say about everything probably, but I was looking back at some old notes because we went to a FIG group presentation at the Maristar Casino, and it said that, or FIG group claimed that they had broke ground in 2016 on the project, and that it would be operational in 2019. So
Gotcha.
2 years from now.
They have a trailer there, though. It's a nice trailer. It's right there. So, Anyway, anybody know anything more than what we said about this? All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mayor. Next question is about fire pits. Long story short, what are the rules and how does it get enforced?
Okay, I got two people I'm going to have answer this. I'm going to have Attorney Cantar answer first and tell you what the law says. Okay, and then I'm going to have Ron Novak of HDEM tell you how they deal with these types of complaints. How about that? Chris, what does the Hammond City Ordinance say in regard to this issue?
You are allowed to have a fire pit, just like you're allowed to have a fireplace, that you must burn only clean wood. You cannot place garbage in it, but the smoke is supposed to be confined to your property.
So keep the smoke on your property.
Don't
let the smoke go onto your neighbor's property.
On a non-windy day, it goes up.
Did we write this ordinance? I want to make sure.
No,
Thank goodness. This ordinance was on the books when I took over, I'd like to point out. Ron, now, do you get these complaints a lot? Hammond Department of Environmental Management is the department responsible for smoke and noise, stuff like that, obviously environmental issues.
Fire pits under state regulations and even local regulations and campfires are allowed. The problem becomes one of if it causes a nuisance, health problem, and or a fire hazard, it has to be put out. Now, after normal business hours, typically the fire department handles those situations. During normal business hours, we'll take the complaint, investigate it, make sure the owner of the fire pit is not creating a nuisance, send them a letter to make sure that they fully understand the rules and regulations. For those that don't want to comply with the regulations, they don't care which way the smoke goes, we have to file a court case, and we need witnesses. It's not just our word that it's causing a problem. Typically, the court looks for someone that's been impacted. They had a respiratory condition. It caused a problem to them. Or the fire department goes out and sees that this is not a campfire, it looks like a high school bonfire. So the key issue is, are they legal? But proving that they're causing a nuisance or causing a health hazard, and that's where we need you to become involved. We can prepare all the information, but they're looking for real life impacts. Not that we're just looking out for filing court cases for any reason whatsoever, but has there been an impact?
Ron, my son Patrick, he might be a pyromaniac, I'm not sure, but we have fire pits in our backyard and he loves doing it. So how often do you go out? I mean, seriously, it's just a little fire pit in the backyard. How often do you really enforce this type of issue?
Usually we get good cooperation. This is a time of the year, probably within the last week, we've had 3 or 4 calls. A lot of people that are new to the area here, they don't have a fire pit, they don't have a campfire, they're burning their leaves.
Gotcha.
Just had one that was burning green vegetation. That just is absolutely sickening.
Gotcha.
So we do get them, but the predominant number is really at night.
So if Patrick's sitting there cooking marshmallows on a little fire in the backyard, it's not like HDEM's going to show up and put it out with a fire extinguisher, right?
Right, we're looking for compliance.
Right.
And so from the standpoint of informing them, and typically if it's going on while we're there, bring out the garden hose, we don't leave until the fire is out.
Okay.
Or we call for the big...
But and if it was unreasonable too, if it was unreasonably large, then of course you know.
Right.
Okay. We answer your question on that? This is a big crowd, I'm having trouble finding Donna. Hey.
There's a brochure Ron left on the table, so if anyone's concerned about fire pits and open burning, it's here.
This is issued by IDEM, so thank you for the question.
Thank you. Moving on to some planning and economic development questions, Mayor.
Awesome. I'd like to introduce Hammond's new Economic Development Coordinator, Ann Anderson. Congratulations, Ann. No matter what happens, we're going to make her answer this question. Okay. So
She probably could.
Good.
Carson's at Woodmar. Will this be moved over to Cabela's or will it stay open in Woodmar?
Okay. Well, I'm going to defer to Africa on this one. And she's been working this deal for quite a while. She's at planning development, so.
No, Cabela's is actually, not Cabela's, I'm sorry, Carson's is planning on staying where they're currently located. So at this point in time, they don't have any plans to go to Cabela's. I know that they were looking for a site within the city that had some changes in their current footprint, but they are planning on staying at their existing location.
And the sports complex is being built, the indoor sports complex is being built with federal money on the footprint over there, coexists peacefully with the Carson store. So we anticipate Carson's going to get rejuvenated. If I was running Carson's, I'd probably start doing more sporting goods and stuff like that, because you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of kids every weekend and their families going through that development, and it's going to give new life to all the businesses in that area. So I think Carson's is crazy if they move at this point. And if they do move, it'll probably be pretty close to where they are. Is that a safe bet?
That's safe to say.
And you got anything you want to add to that? No? How about you, Phil? I know Phil was working this deal for a while.
Yeah, no, I think if, like you said, Mayor, if they're going to move, it's going to be somewhere in that location. They're very successful. It's one of the better Carsons in the country. So it's not an issue, and I believe their lease goes until 2025. So as of right now, they have no plans to leave. That's good news for all of us.
All right, next question.
Okay, Mayor, can you give us a status on the former smoke shop and fireworks store around 113th and Indianapolis Boulevard across from Unilever?
The most unsightly building in the city. Yeah, it's an eyesore. It sticks out especially because we've knocked out every other building around it. Attorney Cantor is our specialist when it comes to demolitions in the city of Hammond. She works very closely with other attorneys that do this. Can you go ahead and do you have anything to say about this?
I don't know if we've had that one on the list.
Yeah.
Kelly, do we have this one on the list?
Kelly's the head of inspections. Hey.
Yep. Okay, I'm not sure Kelly is.
If you can't hear me, somebody's gonna have to adjust this because I'm like screaming. So who's doing
The normal process is we will receive a complaint and we will the inspection departments will take pictures. They usually contact the owner first on a sort of friendly basis. If that doesn't work, they cite them in court. If that has no action, then we enter an unsafe building act order and we demolish the property. So I'm not sure about this particular property. If we've opened a file on it, I don't recall seeing it. We do have a new group coming up on November the 9th, but I don't believe it's in there.
Chris, can we open a file on it if it hasn't?
Sure,
It's literally,
yeah.
every time I drive by it, before you had other buildings around it, so it's sort of blended in, but when you drive by it now, it's like,
I think Nick's the inspector for the first district. I don't know if Nick's here. Nick's the inspector for the first district. We'll have him go out there and take a look at it and get some pictures.
Amy, Kelly?
We will start a file on it. We have not started a file on it yet.
Because seriously, I mean, they've got to be, there's so much potential for this area. Now that we've knocked down all the other buildings, this is the last remaining building.
Understood?
Thank you. Mayor's Night's great. You guys give us, we talk about hundreds and hundreds of topics all the time, and you guys point us in directions you want us to go to, and we appreciate it. So,
Mayor, there are 145 acres of pristine forest, dune, and swale and wetlands for sale off Michigan Street between Kennedy and Klein, north of Gibson Woods. Can the city buy this and preserve it?
great question. Well, it's funny. I know my brother's a commercial real estate broker, and I know a lot of people in this line of business. And you say, what do you think the most valuable property in the city of Hammond is? I know what I would say. I would say the area, of course, up by the Horseshoe Casino, right off Chicago. I'd also say the areas off of 8094, prime real estate. That's where people are developing right now. When I asked my brother that question, and he knows way more about this than I do, he said, right off of Michigan and Klein. That's your best real estate, is right over there. You have all these rail hubs, you have all this ability to tap into intermodal, and you guys aren't really, because of decisions that have made decades ago in the city of Hammond, we put basically, it's a chemical company of some type. Ron, what is that? It's a fuel company over there, right? The one on the southwest corner of Klein in Michigan. What is that one? It's a fuel company, right? Right.
This property that they're asking about,
Yeah.
there is a signed contract by a company that is trying to purchase the property. They're in the due diligence period, so I'm sure they're checking environmental, they're checking ingress egress. I would say, depending on the results of the geotech and everything else that they're doing right now, they could end up closing on the property, and we could see a development there in the near future.
But the long and the short of what I was trying to make, the point I was trying to make, I wasn't doing a great job at it, is if we did get control of that property, which would be great, we wouldn't convert it over into environmental uses. We'd probably want to create jobs and investment, and that's a really hot area of the city for us. So,
Southwest corner?
yeah, it's a fuel.
Lindy Gas.
Lindy Gas, there you go. That's what it was. All right. All right, next question.
Mayor, I think this next series of questions is Public Works related.
Okay.
There are several stop signs in Robertsdale that are covered by tree branches and cannot be seen until the driver gets very close. Can we get these taken care of? Some of them are on 175th, some of them are in Franklin, some are by St. John the Baptist.
I'd like, Jason, could you go ahead and grab the microphone? Hey, dude.
I spent most of the Saturday trimming around the stop signs. I have about, almost 10 more to do. If you could leave some of the addresses,
I'll make sure you get it.
I can address them and take care of them real soon.
And the next question, Jason, is actually a thank you for Jason Donovan. He's doing a great job. I'm not kidding.
Thanks.
I think that was written by Jason's wife. That doesn't count, so.
I didn't write it.
Yeah,
I did.
That's from Mrs. Donovan. No, by the way, Jason, do me a favor, raise your hand. This is your first district. He's the public works director, basically assigned to your district, okay? We have it now where we have 6 supervisors. Jason was chosen, even though he doesn't live in the first, he was outstanding, and he got promoted to become a district supervisor. The 6 district supervisors we have are top notch, located throughout the city, and you got one of the best, in my opinion. So when you have an issue, and I know Councilman Mark and Jason talk to each other probably daily about issues like this, but it's good for you to get to know who he is. He drives around a truck that says First District Supervisor on it. You can't miss him. He's around your community all the time. Jason, how often do you get flagged down by people? Yeah. If you have an issue, flag them down. You know, of course, we have ways to contact us through smartphones. If you have a smartphone, you can contact us through the app called Hammond 311. You can come to Mayor's Night Out. You can call up the radio show. You can call my office. There's a lot of ways to contact us, so we appreciate it. And these also sound like pretty particular, so we're going to make sure, Donna, that all of these are tagged to Jason, if you don't mind, all the Public Works ones. Do you want to go through, are there any big issues that cover more, or is it more like to stop sign, pothole, stuff like that?
Some of them aren't even in his district, but some are.
Okay.
Like
well,
removing those old AT&T phone booths.
Yeah.
Some of those are second.
Don't get me started on AT&T. How many people have AT&T in here? How many people have been dropping a lot of calls over the last couple months? It's ridiculous. I am all over AT&T about this. I have AT&T too. I'm about to change. I've been a customer for a long time, and it's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on, but something's changed with AT&T. I want you to know I am all over their rep, all the time. I take screenshots and show them. I'm sitting in front of City Hall. I got 0 bars. It's unacceptable. So don't get me started on AT&T. Phone booths. If I get a list of the phone booths, that'll be one more thing I complain to them about. So please copy me onto the phone booth one, okay? Because I am all over AT&T right now. All right, and I hope AT&T is watching. I mean, they probably have a real good signal where they are right now. So they have a problem in Hammond. I mean, Verizon works well. All these other services work well. I've been a loyal AT&T customer, and you get nothing. Good. I got 1 bar, which is typical. Okay. So I figured after I said that I'd have 5 bars, but I got 1. So, all right. So we will follow up the phone booth. That's one more thing I could talk about with the AT&T rep. Who uses a phone booth anymore, really, right? Superman does. That's about it. So, Donna.
Mayor, the lights on the walking bridge over the boulevard, 14 of them are out.
All right, I'm going to look over. I looked straight over to Mylan Krasinski, head of the Hammond Port Authority. That bridge is a wonderful project, linked 2 communities together. It's a great bridge. I go over it often. Lights are out, it sounds like, Mylan. They're LED too, right?
We know about them. When we go and we replace them, sometimes the kids go and re-break them. We've replaced the lenses. We're in the process of doing that now. Hopefully it'll protect the lights a little bit better than they have been. It's a process, and it takes time. If we would keep someone up there 24/7, we still probably wouldn't catch everybody.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So anyway, there you go. Thank you for the report. So we're going to replace them, obviously. All right. It's frustrating when stuff like this happens, but every mayor has to deal with situations like this, you know, tagging. And I remember we opened a Little League park in another part of the city one time, and the day we were going there for the groundbreaking, they tagged it. And I was just thinking to myself, what the heck? We spend all this money, we take something, make it look nice, and the day you're going to go out there and celebrate the grand opening, these guys go out there and tag it. You just get rid of it and move forward, and you just shake your head. You know, we're trying to make the city great, and we're building beautiful things, and, you know, you can't control kids that do that kind of stuff. All we can do is fix it and move forward. But I do know that recently we had some vandalism. Councilman Mark and I today were meeting with some lovely residents at Pulaski Park, and I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I know recently there was vandalism in the Pulaski Park bathrooms, the outdoor bathrooms. And in this case, because of people in the park that observed the vandalism taking place, they held the young ladies in place. I think it's 2 young ladies, or 3? 2 young ladies in place, and they were arrested by the Hammond Police Department. Okay? And I want to say this in front of you and in front of my staff. They're going to pay. They're going to pay. And if it's not them, it's their parents. Right? We're not going to go easy. When we catch you, we're going to hammer them and their parents. That's all you could do to deter this type of behavior. I hope you guys understand and agree. When you actually get a chance to catch them, you got to make an example of them. We caught a couple young ladies vandalizing a beautiful brand new park pavilion, and we caught them. And they're going down. We're going to make them pay. So I just want you to know that's all we could do to stop this type of vandalism. We've got to make an example. And when you get caught, God help you at that point, because we're going to go after them for attorney fees, everything. Yes, ma'am. Rosemary. From what I was told, I haven't been briefed on it, and I know they were juvenile, but they were told they were literally from the neighborhood. I was told they were literally from the neighborhood, like across the street. And from what I understood, there was not a lot of responsibility taken from the parents, which is, I tell you what, if Hammond police officer called my house and said, I got your kid just vandalized a bathroom, my kid would not want to come home that night. I can promise you that. I wouldn't be blaming a police officer. I wouldn't be blaming anybody. I'd be giving my kid that special look my kid knows about. Okay? So, we're going to get them. We got to make an example of people that we catch vandalizing. It's the only way to deter this type of behavior. So, all right. Thank you. Next question.
Mayor, a bunch of the senior citizens in the area are here tonight to let you know that they feel there is a need for a senior center in North Hammond.
No, this is funny timing. It's wonderful timing, actually, that I get this question. I had a meeting this morning with the councilman who prompted a meeting, and I'm going to let Councilman Mark Kowinski, who hasn't had a chance to speak yet, come up and address the crowd and talk about this, if you don't mind, Councilman. All right, give it up, Councilman Mark Kowinski.
Thank you. Good evening. A while back, I was approached by a number of seniors in our district that they have run out of community rooms to meet, and were wondering how the city could help and how something could be developed in the first district for seniors during the daytime. So I began talking with a number of women primarily, and many widows from my neighborhood as well as from Robertsdale, and learned that a lot of people get out for socializing, and it does them good, and they, because of changes in the community center and because of changes in restaurants, etc., they were having difficulty finding a place that wasn't going to charge them to spend the day being together, playing games, or just being together and talking and having a safe place to go. So I checked into the Park Pavilion at Pulaski Park, which is a relatively new building in really good shape, and it has a good-sized room that usually goes out for rent for little parties and gatherings. And I checked into how much we were pooling in 2016 to see if we did something as a senior center there, would we be cutting into funds? And we only had about 12 engagements for the year. Came out to, I don't know, between $1,200 and $1,500 that we brought in, minus whatever it takes to clean up after that. And we weren't making much money out of it, and the building was empty all the time. So I thought that this might be a good place to begin and see if we could utilize this space for a senior center. Met with a number of seniors again about that, and they like the idea because it's handicap accessible. There are no stairs. There's a parking lot nearby, and the room or the building is in the park, and you've got trails there. You've got other activities. You've got outside shelters. We have a pool, a tennis court, ice skating pond, skateboard park, or they can just watch the football players practice during the day. So everybody seemed to like the location as a good possibility. So we took that to the mayor and Park Superintendent Mark Hines to discuss it further. And so what happened was we met again. For the first time, the mayor, I, and Mark Hines met with a number of seniors who took the lead on this, and we met this morning to sort of begin conversations to carve out what would this look like if we did a senior center at Pulaski Park. So I'll leave it there. Mayor can interject more if he wants to.
I'm going to let Mark Hines, the head of the park department. Mark, could you talk a little bit about, Mark came to us from, he was a Dyer resident, Hammond resident, worked in the Dyer Parks Department, and that's how I met Mark. I met Mark actually through our kids, but he's a great guy, knows a lot about parks. Mark, you want to, you've seen a lot of senior centers in your time.
Sure.
By the way, I didn't realize the seniors are going to be skateboarding so much. It's really nice.
That sounds like a new program. We might need to look into maybe a special event or two out there for that. The senior center, I think, it makes a lot of sense. We have a couple outstanding rentals that we'll look at that take us, I think, through the first week of October. But as we look to the mid to late October, we're going to get together with that key group that was there today with us and just start putting together what our anticipated schedule and activities and things like that are. I think that as we make the comparisons to I asked that group to make the comparisons to other facilities that they've visited, as well as ones that I've been involved with or have seen throughout my career, which has been in Parks and Recreation since I was 17. So if any other types of facilities that we can make those comparisons, that we can fit into the facility as far as amenities, as far as activities, from Pinochle to Bunko, whatever we can think of, those are the kinds of things that we're going to want to pull in there and use the facility as much as we can. More than anything, it's getting people out into the community, building our community, making it stronger by bringing people together. That's what the whole idea behind parks is, to bring people together, create community through parks, people, and programs. So that's what we try to do. That's what we're trying to do through that facility by changing it into that type of facility. I'm sure once we get all the details squared away, we'll be announcing those in great detail. Our plan is that it would be a free center. If the group that kind of takes lead of it and decides to run with it and charge dues or things like that, that'll be on that group, that they'll make that decision collectively. But basically the spaces there will be, we hope to be in there within about 6 weeks or so. I think we'll probably be trying to get out there and get started.
So we're real happy about that, the seniors have been looking for a place in the, North Hammond, Robertsdale, Whiting area. The only places that were really being offered they had to pay to use it. So we made a great deal today. It was great for the senior group. It's great for us because we want the buildings to be used. And if we had the seniors there, maybe we didn't have the vandalism incident that occurs right around the corner because they'd be there. So we could all help each other. So it's good news. It's nice when people work together and get things done. So I want to thank the group that came forward, the councilman, Mark, and everybody that worked together very much on that project. Thank you very much. All right.
And also, Mayor, if I could just add, if there's anyone who wants to additionally get involved with that, you can contact me at the Civic Center. I'd be happy to get you included into that group, especially we're really looking for the leaders to kind of take off with this group. So if anyone's here or anyone listening is able to do that, we welcome them.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Next, Mayor, a major concern within the group today The Pulaski Pool, is it
Yep.
going to come back open? They've collected 573 Hammond resident signatures to get the pool back open.
Okay.
Can you talk about that?
Well, it wasn't just the Pulaski pool that was shut down. And it wasn't shut down because I don't like swimming, I don't believe in swimming, or I'm trying to punish North Hammond. All of them were shut down because, first off, we had a study come back that said your pools are not ADA compliant, are not compliant with current safety regulations now. They're dangerous. They had things dangerous about them. I'm going to have Mark get into more detail, Mark Hines. So all 4 pools were closed. $5.5 million to fix all your pools right now and get them opened up, which begs the question, how many outdoor pools do we need? Interesting fact, we lose in all 4 of those pools, we're losing more every year, way more than you lose at the Festival of the Lakes, where 100,000 people go through a park, okay? That's a fact. I think over 200,000 a year, if I remember correctly, we're losing in the pools, which is fine. Government isn't here to make money off of you. We're here to provide services. I get it, okay? And then a lot of people say, well, Mayor, you like bike paths. And a lot of people use bike paths either. True. I acknowledge that's true. It costs money to build bike paths, but once you build a bike path, you don't have to have staff out there. You don't have to put a lot of, it's basically just there to use. Nonetheless, I've been working with your councilman who believes strongly that Pulaski Park Pool should reopen. And I've been working real closely with the other councilmen. Some of the councilmen are really fired up about their pool being open, and some of the councilmen are really level-headed and say, hey, for instance, in my neighborhood, I have Hessville Pool, which was also shut down. They don't have rallies going around to keep the pool open. I acknowledge that's particular to this neighborhood, which is a good thing, okay? In that neighborhood, you're literally a mile and a half away from the Munster Pool, which is pretty close to a water park. So a lot of people that used to go to the Hessville Pool say, why would I go to this pool when I could drive a mile and a half this way and go to a really, really nice pool that was built brand new in Munster, which has 1 pool in their city, okay? 25, 30,000 residents, 1 pool. Hammond has 81,000 residents and 4 outdoor pools. So the question is, while I'm here and I got 573 names on a petition, I'm going to trust that it's accurate, and I congratulate you for doing that. However, it's not about just North Hammond. How many pools do we need? We want to open all 4 of them again? That means, Mayor McDermott, your community wants you to spend $5.5 million and get all 4 of them open, just like it used to be. Or are we going to shut 1 down? Are we going to shut 2 down? Are we going to have 1 pool in Hammond? And if we're going to have 1 pool, where's it going to be? Pulaski Park? Then people in Hessville are like, wait a second, that's way far away from me. We're going to put it at Martin Luther King, and then people in Pulaski Park are mad because you have to go down there. This is a complicated issue. It's not just, I love Pulaski Park. I've rebuilt that park since I've been mayor. And I know it's sitting there vacant. Believe me, your councilman's doing a great job representing you because he's constantly talking to me about it. I get it. But it's not just like, let's just open this pool. This is a big city, shaped like an L. And you guys are at the top of the L. So I open this 1 pool, I'm going to have 3 other district councilmen saying, Mayor, what's the plan? You're just opening Pulaski? Why are you opening Pulaski? You built a splash pad in Robertsdale. I'm going to hear that for sure. So I want you to know, I understand, anytime government takes things away, it's not easy. We're not taking it away because we're mean-spirited. We're pinched financially. And we have to make tough decisions. And this is a decision I made. And if it's a bad decision, you're going to let me know. And you're letting me know by having 573 names on a petition. But keep in mind, I dare say, at least half the people in this room, probably more, voted for the property tax caps that strangled our budget, took $20 million out of our budget. I guarantee you, at least half of it, if not 3/4. And what that did to the civil city, the school city, what it did to the county is killed our budgets. $20 million. And we still have just as many police officers as we've always had, and that's important. I think we all agree. We have less firemen. We didn't lay off firemen. We took away positions. They shrunk from 180 to 155, 187 to 155, which is a big drop. So I want you to know we have super tough decisions to make, and we're not done. In 2 years, the property tax caps are going to kick into full effect in Lake County. Lake County and St. Joseph's County were grandfathered in. And in 2 years, they're going to kick in again. And we're estimating Heather, what was your last estimation? $5 to $8 million hit on our budget. And now, you start, we got to make tough decisions in the next couple of years. We shut down our city court, all right? We're talking about offering a buyout to encourage employees to retire. So we don't have to actually lay people off. The city clerk's office, Clerk Golick's in here, he's taken major reduction in personnel over the years, probably at least half. We were trying to make tough decisions, and this is one of them. I didn't get rid of your pool because I think it's frivolous. I didn't get rid of your pool because I don't like to swim or I don't want your kids to swim. We're losing a lot of money on that pool, on those pools. Now, if the backlash seems to be pretty severe, and you say, Mayor, I want you to spend $1 million or whatever it takes to fix Pulaski Park, and another councilman says, I want you to fix this one too. Maybe all four of them say, do it. And then we have 4 pools, and you guys are happy, but at the same time, we got to make tough decisions. It's a tough issue. So, questions? It will never in a million years work. It's been tried before. The Hammond Boxing Club now used to be the YWCA, and that was an indoor pool. If we charged Hammond residents per visit what it would cost to pay to break even, not to even make money. Privatized means they want to make money. If we wanted to just break even, a not-for-profit bought that pool and they shut it down within a year. We'd have to charge you like $50 a visit, and it probably still wouldn't cover. We're going to lose money by opening these pools. We're not going to make money. It's just, if it's such a needed item, and I'm hearing that it is, that government can lose money. And I'm going to give you an example. Let's say there's a bad home on your block. It's bad. And the city of Hammond buys that home, and we put $60,000 into it, and we fix it up nice, and we flip it, and we lose $20,000. We put all the money into it, and we flip it, but we lost $20,000. Is that a bad deal or a good deal by government? I think it's a good deal, because that house on your block got fixed up, and we lost money doing it, right? However, the benefit for the entire block is clear. No private business is ever going to take over something and lose money. That's our job. To make the community move forward, sometimes you got to take a loss. And if this is what you're telling me, I will trust you. I'm your mayor. And the councilman has made his feelings clear on this. And I respect Councilman Mark. We got elected at the same time. And if it's that important, I promise you I'll follow through. And we'll have to figure out a plan to move forward. I personally don't think we need 4 pools. I really don't. I think it's expensive to get back to 4 pools, to get them all in compliance, and we still are going to have that annual loss. We're not going to break even, which is fine. So, yes, ma'am. I'm sure we did. I didn't. I'm in City Hall. Mark? Could you pull up the microphone?
We do have all those records. I can give you some of the statistics from just going back the last year that we were open. I have those with me. In 2016 at Pulaski Pool, we had 1,612 visits total for the whole summer.
And some of those were multiple visits. Like if I went on 3 separate days, that's 3 separate visits, right?
Correct.
So how many total people used the pools? That was an interesting fact.
Last year, the total amount of visitors was 957.
Independent visitors, right? So some people are going back multiple times, and that counts as a visit each time.
Correct.
Fact. I mean, and some people are like, well, Mayor, the pools have been run horribly. You had these programs that weren't good. I get it, okay? I get it. And if this is one of those issues that you say, I think you're making a huge mistake, Mayor Tom, I think you got to reconsider this. I trust the petition. It's got a bunch of names on there. But I want you to know, like, you make it sound frivolous, like, which pool are we shutting this year? Pulaski Park. No, we shut them all because of for a reason. And we're trying to do the right thing, the good government thing. And sometimes, I did the good government thing once before, not just once, by the way. I did the good government thing before, and I almost lost my job. The health department, okay? So if this is one of those issues, warn me now. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We don't need 4 pools.
Thank you.
Down there at
Mm-hmm.
and some people look at, I was there every day for the last 15 years, more or less. And I love
But can I ask you an honest question? Do you think Edison should be one of the 4 pools we choose? Okay. I appreciate that. That's really honest, and I appreciate that. Just as long as we have a pool. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am. I think it's totally reasonable. And that's sort of where, I get you. I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of times when I talk to people, they're like, well, I live by Hessville Park. And I'm like, how many pools do we need? One? Which one? Hessville Park, of course. I live right there, right? And then you're the mayor, and I'm like, I have 4 different community groups that think their pool is vital, and this is sort of like the high school question, right? We need to see what's going on with the school city and their proposals, and they have 4 high schools placed around the city at certain sections, and they've just maintained the status quo trying to figure out, what are we going to do with high schools? Do we need 4 public high schools in a city of 81,000 people? If this is our little high school issue, we have the pools, and it's almost the same type of issue exactly. So, questions about pools. Councilman Emerson, you want to say anything? Councilman Emerson has a pool. Why not? You're here. 4th District Councilman, he has a pool in his district. You're like, what are you doing selling at our pool?
I understand. I understand that the issue of, it is like the high school debate, by the way. I agree with you, Mayor. It's just tough. I mean, I've got some calls and people are saying this and that, the way we scheduled the way we scheduled people that use the pool, but I live like a block away from Edison Pool, and I will say that the last couple summers at least, I've noticed single digits many days, under 10 people in that pool. The reasons, I've gotten an earful from constituents that, there's reasons for that, this and that, but I don't know, it's tough. I mean, that pool was built, I believe, in the 50s.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just give you an example real quick. $30,000 to fix a leaking, the foundation, or the bottom of the pool was leaking. $30-some thousand. It was over 30. And then another $5,000 for the roof on the pump house. And, it's like an old car. And I've had a lot of old cars. And at some point, you are better off getting rid of the car, So anyway.
Thank you, Councilman. So anyway, I want you to know that, one thing I've learned, I've been your mayor a long time. I appreciate the trust you've given me, okay? One thing I've learned is sometimes I think I'm right, and sometimes I bear down when I think I'm right. And that's a good quality to have, but sometimes it's not. And your councilman is somebody I respect a lot, and I promised him I would sit down and we'd try to work through this issue, logically. So that, as the lady over here said, maybe we don't need 4 pools, but maybe we at least need 1 or 2. And I'm willing to work with Councilman Mark and the other councilmen to try to figure out a solution, okay? Because, getting into the high school issue, and I don't really want to get into that because that's not my issue. One of the criticisms I have of the whole process is I would feel a lot better about investing money in the schools if I saw them creating efficiencies. And this is like our high school question. We have 4 pools. I don't think we need 4, all right? If we could come up with some type of model where the north and the south are served, I think we could get through this issue, okay? And I promised Councilman I would work with him today, and I think he was relieved to hear that, so I didn't want to speak for you, Councilman. Okay, so thank you for the questions. I knew this was coming up, obviously, and I appreciate Melissa, Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association. I appreciate the group. I've been before dozens and dozens and dozens of times over there. It's a great neighborhood organization. See many of you in the audience today. All right, I just want you to know this wasn't a frivolous decision meant to punish any part of the city. We're trying to get ahead of the tax caps that are coming in 2 years. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. 2 years, that's coming, and we got decisions to make. So please try to understand. But I appreciate it. Okay, good. Let's move on. Oh, you want to say something, Melissa? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mayor, I was just going to thank you for trying to keep an open mind about this issue. I mean, we do realize, that there are some very heavy financial decisions to be made.
Thank you.
I think this is an issue of where people didn't realize what they had until it was gone.
Okay.
So if we can come up with a compromise where we can have 1 or 2, that would be great.
Okay.
I had no idea that this was going to push so many buttons either. I didn't have to go out seeking people to walk petitions or anything like that. They came to us.
Okay.
So, and this was a very broad coverage. So.
Well, 573 is a good number. I'm not going to count them. I trust you. So.
But Go ahead, I've given you all of them. I went through to make sure that
It's
the
all
only
right.
ones that were
This isn't a
counted-
referendum.
The only ones
I
that were
trust
counted
you.
were the ones that were Hammond addresses, and I did verify the
Thank
streets
you.
to make sure that they were.
I trust you, and I trust you. Don't.
I don't
So-
want to turn in anything that we're going to have to dispute.
No, don't worry about it. I appreciate it. I promise you, I have an open mind, but just understand that there's a lot involved in this. It wasn't just a willy-nilly decision we made.
It's ever easy, otherwise
you.
it would be solved immediately.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the open mind, thank
All
you.
right, thanks. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Next question. We literally have like 15 questions left, and I try to always get through the questions, so. Donna?
Next, Mayor, a couple about trees. The maples along the streets
Okay.
in the neighborhood have black spots. Is that a concern? And if a tree is dead and it's beyond the sidewalk, is that the responsibility of the city?
Do me a favor. Okay, tag Mark Heinz on both of these, all right? I got a message on Facebook. I took it as sarcasm. Somebody said, "Thank you, Mayor, for taking a tree down. It only took you like 4 years to do so." I was like, I think that's sarcasm. So it's a process. You know, Mark, how many trees do you have on your tree list?
We're under 200 now. We're the most recent, if someone calls up now, we're into 2016 trees. The beginning of last summer, we've caught up and made.
How do you
headway that
prioritize?
far.
Like life, limb, and property? kind of?
We're still trying to go through that. We do go out and look and evaluate each one and make sure the ones that are the most pressing, most dangerous do jump to the top of the list if
Right.
need be.
Like it's
Otherwise-
literally about to fall down.
Correct,
Those take-
correct. And there are ones that sometimes do have happen. It's storm damage, and maybe it's split from a storm, or it's rotted out to the core. Those are some of the ones. Unfortunately, a lot are in our parks. If anyone gets to drive by Harrison Park in the near future, you'll see a bunch of pink X's out there. There's 127 trees in Harrison Park that have to come down.
Because of?
It's- Emerald ash borer is wild and crazy here in Hammond. Every ash tree in the city of Hammond will be cut at some point or another. You're going to see they start dying from the top down. If any of you have them in your yard, you see them start dying from the top down. It's an infected tree. You need to get it cut down at some point. We're responsible for obviously the ones in the parkways within the parks. We're trying to attack those and go after all of those. You're being here in the first district. One of our first parks that we attacked and did was Pulaski Park. How many years ago? It looked like it was almost clear cut.
Yeah.
I hate to be a bearer of bad news. Harrison Park's probably going to look very similar to
I
that.
mean, Riverside Park too.
Riverside as well. Martin Luther King Park as well.
Martin Luther
They're
King
just
Park
going to be devastated.
devastates them. It's crazy, and you can see. I never realized before I became mayor how many dead trees we have around our city. I look at things differently, obviously, because we get complaints like this a lot. So anyway, Donna, do me a favor, tag Mark onto both of those, and Mark, please follow him up. I'm going to ask my department heads to make sure you follow up each of the questions, because sometimes we're not giving them the attention we can normally give to them in Mayor's Night because we have so many questions, okay? So my department heads will specifically reach out to you on these questions and deal with the particulars, okay? So let's go ahead and do the next one, Donna.
Sure, Mayor. As a concerned parent, is there any way the civil city and the school city can work together so that Lincoln Elementary could purchase a new playground?
I got a letter today on this, I believe. Hi, was it from you? Hi.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Stephanie Turner.
It was a really nice letter. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you got it. I am one of the parents.
I read my
here-
own mail. It's great.
I'm a parent here at Lincoln Elementary, and as you may know, our 22-year-old playground is about to be torn down. It is unsafe. Kids have gotten really badly hurt on it. We were wondering if, we don't know, it can't be replaced is what we were told. So I am on the PTA, but I am here as a parent, and we are willing to fundraise. We've wrote out business letters to big companies like BP and Home Depot. People have come back to me saying they're willing to donate.
How much is your new playground going to cost?
I'm sorry, what'd you
How
say?
much is it going to cost, the new one?
Okay, so, well, we still have to sit down and decide because we don't know if the school board has to approve the playground. We had someone come out here and they said, it's going to be torn down. So it's kind of unacceptable for our children because we have 14 elementary schools in the whole city of Hammond, and I went to all 13 of them, took pictures, and they have beautiful playgrounds. They have swings that we don't have. They have basketball nets. Kenwood even has 3 playgrounds. So if ours gets torn down, we'll be the only elementary school that doesn't have a playground at all.
I agree. It's not right, man. I agree. And I got your letter, and I appreciate it. And I do want to help. I think I could help you more by maybe becoming your ally and trying to send a letter to the school board and pointing out what you just said. It doesn't seem right.
So I did write one to Dr. Watkins and Anna Mamalia. She
She's
helped me
a
before.
great lady.
She's very sweet. I'm waiting to hear for them to see what we can and
Okay.
cannot do.
Maybe
for
we could work
fundraising.
together and try to have the school city do the right thing, which is take care of
Well,
their
I
own
wasn't-
property. No offense, but like, the thing is, honestly, the school city runs the schools. All the employees, the schools, the routes for the buses, all the drivers, and then obviously I have a busy enough job running the city. And we really respect each other's geography or jurisdiction really well, okay? And like, I have no problem trying to help out. And of course, I want the kids of Lincoln Elementary School to have a great playground. But, it's one of those situations where I think it's their job to do it. They get a lot of money. I think you just got to budget a little bit, like you said. Some schools have amazing facilities. I've seen them. I drive by them on my bike. I don't think it's right for Lincoln Elementary School. I think I can help you more instead of just throwing a couple bucks at you, becoming your ally, and trying to help you pressure the school board to say, do the right thing for the kids of Lincoln Elementary. It's a beautiful school and a beautiful part of our city. North Hammond's a great neighborhood. I think it's the right thing to do. So I'd rather help you like that if that's possible.
That would be wonderful because we have kind of like a big, I know it's not going to take overnight. Other parents are definitely going to fundraise our butts off,
Okay.
if I may say that.
I'll help you.
But big businesses,
You can say it.
anything that we can possibly do because we didn't know who would be, like if it would be the city or if it would be the school board, like we probably know there's not a budget.
What's your name again?
Stephanie?
Stephanie. Eva, could you raise your hand? She's my boss. She's one of my bosses. Marissa's my real boss, and so are you all. But Eva does my calendar. Stephanie, I want you to get Eva and get on my calendar, and we'll figure out some way we could work together.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. All right, Donna. If it seems like we're moving quicker than normal, it's because we are. These are a lot of questions. I want to try to get through all your questions. So.
Another school question, Mayor.
Sure.
Hammond Publics have a low ranking within the schools in Indiana. What's your vision for improving the schools?
It gets back to my last. I really, honestly wish that as mayor, not me, I think mayors should be more involved in the education process in a city. I feel that way. Okay? I feel like I would be able to help a lot. I feel like if Stephanie came up and said, Mayor, Lincoln Elementary School's playground's abysmal, if I was like one of the decision makers in the school city, I'd be like, let's fix this playground, like we do with the city. But like the way Indiana law is written and the way we do business in Hammond is the school city is completely independent of the civil city. And I don't think it's a wise way to set up government, but that's the way it was set up. Because I think as mayor, if the school city and the mayor aren't working well together and they're not doing their jobs the right way, it affects the city regardless. So my vision for the schools, I'm not supposed to really have a vision. Of course I want great schools. I want high I-steps, and I want great, high school graduation rates, and I want safe schools, and I want kids that are happy and learning and great activities after. But my job is to be the mayor and to run the city, and that's not, and it sounds bad to say it, but it's the truth. It's really, I have to stay in my lane. And the way our law was written up, the mayor has no role in the school city whatsoever. That doesn't mean, by the way, I don't participate. I go to schools all over the city every year. I talk to hundreds and hundreds of students every year as mayor. Talk to all the high school students, talking about College Bound. I talk to a lot of middle school students through a program called Lunch and Learn. I never turn down a teacher's invitation to speak to a class, and it happens. How many classroom visits do you think I had last year, Eva? 12, that's it? I thought it was, well, Lunch and Learn, yeah, just a classroom visit, okay, yeah. 12 plus the Lunch and Learn plus the high school visits. So, yeah, the field trips in our office, right? So, I don't want to shirk the question, but it's really, that's a question more appropriately given to Dr. Watkins and the school board. And by the way, next year school board elections are coming up. That's a way you can involve yourself in this process as well. So, thank you. Let's go ahead and get the next one.
Is there still a senior disabled property tax rebate this year? If so, when?
Yes, there is. Heather, could you go ahead? This is our city controller, Heather Gray. Heather, could you talk a little bit about how to qualify for this program?
That process, we actually just got the list from county yesterday, so my office is very busy preparing that and getting it on the system to make the checks. I anticipate we'll have those going out within the first week of October. For those of you who are not aware of what that is, it's the Senior Blind and Disabled Tax Credit, and we get a lot of phone calls at City Hall about how do I sign up for it, and then we have to send you to county, because you actually have to go file that tax deduction at the county, and if you tell them you're doing it to get a check from Hammond, they're gonna hang up and say, call Hammond. So we always tell you, go in, tell them you want to file for your deduction, we get the list from them, and then we will issue the checks. So if you're not on that list currently, go get yourself signed up, and then next year you'll be eligible for a check.
Thanks, Heather, I appreciate it. It's a great program, costs us $1 million a year, something like that, yeah. So, just under $1 million a year. It's a great program, though. Get lovely, lovely letters from seniors in this program that participate. It's really nice. Most of the letters I get aren't lovely like that, so, yeah. We'll go ahead and do the next one.
The next series are basically police matters.
Okay. Chief's ready. Fire away. Bad choice of words. Sorry.
Well, the first one is, can you talk about the pipe bomb and what happened there? Can you tell us who from city government it was attended?
I see Ed Beershank sitting over there. It's written by Ed Beershank, right?
I can tell you that the Hammond Police Department is not involved in the investigation. It happened in East Chicago. It is being handled by federal agencies. They're in control of it. They have not been in contact with me, and they have not told me that we should take any precautions to protect our city government here. I can tell you that we always look out for our own, and we take precautions anyways anytime anything happens, especially when it's this close to home. So we are doing that due diligence, but not on any advice from the federal government. It's just something we've taken it upon ourselves.
Chief, can you give us an update on the 2 teens that robbed the lady on Wabash with her daughter?
As far as I know, the last update I had on that was it was a Chicago group that was identified doing it many times over there. Chicago made an arrest, and we are in the process of trying to do a photo lineup on this side to connect those individuals.
Several concerns about parking, especially in residential. Is there anything you can do to have people not park in front of other people's houses?
Are they like particular addresses and stuff?
Yeah, we.
Do me a favor, copy
some of
code.
them we do, some we don't.
Copy code and the police department on those. So
Okay.
like if they're particular addresses, we could follow that up individually after the meeting. Parking is, reciprocity. These are constant complaints we're going to get, and whoever your mayor is 20 years from now will probably be getting the same kind of complaints. We live close to the state line, and we get a lot of issues over the state line because of that.
Can you talk about what is the visitor's placard?
What's that?
If people have a party, they need to have come to the PD and get a placard for their visitors?
Yeah, real quickly, I can say that what happens is they deem an area residential parking, and then you're allowed to get 2 visitors passes, and we do have those at the Hammond Police Department. You should have actually been, so that's a longer story. I can address that with you later.
Okay.
Kathy is here from the Citizens Advisory Commission. She wanted to announce the policing district and explain the mission.
Yeah, please. Kathy, could you go ahead and... This is all aired live on Go Hammond TV. Oh, there she is. Hi. This is Go Hammond TV, if you don't know what that is. I imagine a lot of you do, but some of you may not. It's live right now on the internet. Literally www.gohammond.tv. And it's archived, so you can watch it live while the meeting's going. Looks like a lot of us showed up today. You can watch it again if you get really bored, want to go to sleep. It's a good thing to have on in the background. So, hi, Kathy.
Hello. Okay, so I'm here. Thank you for the time to tell you about you, the people, about a commission that exists, and it's called the Citizens Advisory Commission to the Hammond Police Department. And I and some of my commission members represent this area. There's a commission that exists in every district in Hammond. And our goal is to improve the relationships and the communication between the police department and you, the citizens of the community. And there's several ways to do this. There's flyers on the back, on the table. And there's a private email set up. You can email us. Each of our names are here with our contact telephone numbers. And we also hold a meeting once a month, and that information is on the flyer. And you're welcome to attend the meeting. It's open to the public, and we would love to hear any of your concerns, good or bad, and everything is kept strictly confidential. So the email, anything you share with us is strictly confidential. So we'd love to hear your thoughts and concerns. And we also would welcome opportunities to get the word out. We're making our ways to some of the schools in the city, but maybe you have an organization or a church, somewhere where you'd like us to come attend and speak and share this information with them and get the word out. So thank you for the time to tell you about this, and we look forward to hearing from you. We'll stick around after the meeting if you would like to ask any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. The Citizens Advisory Commission is something that Hammond Police Department, we made a deal with the Department of Justice and established this commission, and its purpose is to be the liaison between the community and us. It's meant to foster better community relations between the police department and the community. As a result of this consent decree that we reached in this commission, the police department has a lot more outreach. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So if you're interested, the flyers are over here. You have one over here? All right. Thanks, Eileen. Thank you, Eileen. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go ahead. Next question.
There was a event in the neighborhood on Sunday, July 30th at 141st called a car show. It was like an invasion of over 400 automobiles and motorcycles that streamed into the neighborhood, and they caused havoc.
Yeah, we heard about this.
Can you talk about
what
we can do about that?
I heard about it after the fact. So people are obviously upset. I know there was a lot of discussion that went on. I was trying to remember who I was working with. Was it you, Phil, or? I know a councilman was involved in it. Ron, weren't you involved in this? Attorney Cantor? It was on 141st, the big car show they did. Okay.
The issue with the property is at 141st Street, it's zoned industrial. It's an industrial property. They could crush cars out there if they wanted to. So an assembly of vehicles on that property does not violate any city ordinance or zoning regulations. Now, the issue becomes if they're exiting that property in a manner that is unsafe or an excessive speed or excessive noise or doing burnouts, then that's obviously a completely different.
Which was happening that day, right?
Right, which is a completely separate and distinct issue.
So it's not the fact that they're having a car
Correct.
show.
It is
It's
not
the fact.
a violation of any law, ordinance, or statute for them to have a car show on an industrial piece of property where they could crush cars. I mean,
Right.
it's part of the industrial nature of that parcel. However, if there's an issue that spills into the neighborhoods, that is something that can be enforced.
Right, with the PD level.
Correct.
But like that is one of, and we all know this neighborhood, we have Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association strong, especially in that part of the city. We have a lot of tension between industrial users and the neighborhood users, and this is the type of problem that comes up often. Hi, nice to see you. Right. Right. It was on a Sunday, if I remember too, right? Right. Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Right. 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 How did he get permission? I don't know if that's a true statement or not, ma'am, about how did he?
It didn't come before the Board of Works, I can tell you that.
But there was nothing. Could you grab a microphone? Nothing went through the Board of Public Works or anything.
No, I think
right?
that, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, that you're saying that the owner of the property gave permission to somebody to hold the car show on their property.
Because they didn't get permission from the city.
Okay.
Right.
We did not receive any notice of this at the Board of Works. We did not grant any permission for the event to occur.
Right. Right. Okay.
But I believe we did follow up to see if they had a valid business license, and I think they did.
Right. Okay. Chief, do you have anything on that, or?
No, we were concerned because they didn't ask anybody from the city to have this event, but they, like Chris Cantor said, they did have the owner on site to give them permission to be on that area, and it was complicated by the fact that it is an industrial rated area. And so we did get some calls, and our guys did respond and tell them to quiet down, and they, when the officers go, they do have to see something happening to respond. And it was private property, and the owner was there, and so we didn't have the right to evict them legally.
Okay.
However, we have been in contact with them, and we'll continue to be to make sure it doesn't happen again.
We're going to follow this up. I'm going to see maybe somehow if we can find some type of ordinance they violated, but it's zoned industrial, which makes it a lot harder for us. But obviously we have this whole neighborhood and the tension we have with security transport, and believe me, I'm very familiar with that neighborhood, obviously. Right now we're really focused on the security transport and trying to get those trucks in and out of the neighborhood without knocking trees down and endangering the kids in the park. I'm very familiar with what's going on. I apologize about that. I didn't find out until after it happened. I know Councilman got a hold of me, so I apologize, and we'll follow it up, okay? That's why I think maybe a letter from the corporate council saying, you need to go through the Board of Works for this, or something to that effect. And if they go to the Board of Works, they're going to run into brick walls, and at least we'll be ready for it then. But like you said, we were all caught off guard on that one. Yeah. Right. Gotcha. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So there's parking on both sides plus stopped cars and, right. I know how it gets. Well, if they would have gone through us, they would have had to do things like that to have an event like that, but they didn't. So do me a favor. Could you copy, hey, change sides. Could you copy Attorney Cantor onto that, and we'll follow up with a letter to the owner, and I will follow this up, okay? And I'll report back to the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association on any progress we make on it, okay? Thank you. All right.
Okay, Mayor, when will the license plate readers be installed at the entrances and exits? Can we have one at Sheffield and Boy Scout Road and Goslin and State Line?
Good question. They're not installed yet. It's embarrassing to say that. They're getting installed. That's the good news. I want to tell you, working with NIPSCO is very frustrating. Okay? I mean, we bought these things in February, and we've been trying to work with NIPSCO, and it's like moving a glacier. And finally, we got the glacier to move 6 inches, and they're literally installing them as we speak.
End of the month, they'll be done.
End of the month, they'll be done.
Yes, sir.
Beginning Tuesday. But it's embarrassing to tell you that we bought these, and we've had above average crime year, and these could have been helping deter crime, and NIPSCO, in my opinion, hasn't really helped us. And they're not going to be happy to hear me say that, but it's true. And a lot of the behind the scenes, I'm trying not to light them up publicly, but the fact is, we need their support. We're hanging a lot of these on NIPSCO poles, and they need power rigged up to them, and they need poles rigged up to them, and we haven't gotten the cooperation that we expected. And then I talked to NIPSCO, and then NIPSCO says it's because of your PD, and these guys aren't doing this and that. And I talked to PD, and it says, and I'm the guy in the middle. I just want the damn cameras up, I'll be honest with you. I don't care whose fault it is. Put the cameras up. I can tell you that I've been riding the PD hard, and they've been reacting very well. And I think NIPSCO's gotten the memo, and they've been working really well. And I want to thank Rick Kalinsky publicly. He's probably mad at me for what I said about NIPSCO, but Rick Kalinsky is my former chief of staff. He now works for NIPSCO. I think he really quarterbacked this well because he knows how important it is to our city. But we have 2 mobile units, right? And that's about it, right, Chief? Until these go up.
Yeah, I can tell you though, we've had some great successes. We have 2 mobile units, 2 squad cars that have the cameras on them already. Every squad in the city that has an MDT has the program on it to utilize the system already. So there are advantages. We've solved some great crimes with it. We made up a trailer and took it up to the festival, and we put cameras on it. During the test phase, that was parked by the Civic Center. We caught some armed robbery suspects who drove by it 4 times before they did an armed robbery, Carroll and Calumet. We have the ability to move that trailer around in the high crime areas. We've done so. We've solved robberies from other communities.
Let me
just
ask you a
by touching
question.
the plate.
These types of questions burn me up, Chief. The incident we're talking about where the 2 young men were running down the street firing a gun in North Hammond. They got into a car, we saw what kind of car it was, and we probably knew the path they took to get out of Hammond, right?
Yeah.
Tell me how frustrating that is when you bought a camera that could have caught these guys, and because of slow pace of people we need their cooperation to put these up, they're not up. That frustrates me, and I sent them a picture of that famous picture of the 2 kids running down the street. I sent that picture to NIPSCO. Like, we could have caught these guys. We have these cameras that could catch these guys, and you guys aren't putting the stupid cameras up. I can't put it up myself. We can't put it up on their poles. We need their cooperation. I don't know what to tell you. I wish NIPSCO had a competitor. I wish NIPSCO did have a competitor. I would go to them. But we can't hang on NIPSCO poles, and we can't get NIPSCO to hook up power. And quite frankly, I don't think it's really a high priority for them. It's like one little camera. They probably make 10 cents off that camera. So they're going to hook up a special line to it. It's not like the top of their priority list. But it's the top of our priority list because they're going to help protect our city. And it's frustrating, believe me. It makes you want to just lash out. And I've been trying to be a good boy and not light NIPSCO up in public. And I've never talked about it. Every time I get asked questions about the cameras, I'm very vague. Till tonight. Because you asked me a straight question. Are the cameras up? No. And I'm not happy about it. But we're fighting every single day to get these things up. And it sounds to me like we got a hard date, which is good news. Okay? But it's been way too long. And we had an above average crime year, and these could have helped. And they're on the ground because of bureaucracy. Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I didn't mean you had a big mouth, so I didn't. That sounded bad. No, you know what? I agree. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the thinking in Mayor Tom's head. You want these up. You know they're not up, but the public thinks they're up, and the bad guys think they're up. The bad guys think they're up. So I'm like, if I come out and say the cameras aren't up, the bad guys are like, whew. So we're like, let's if they think they're up, it's good for us because it's going to deter crime, but they're not, which is unfortunate. The good news is, as Dean said and the chief said,
I'd like to tell you that we are using the system successfully already. Tow trucks drive around and record plates every single day.
Thank you, that's true.
And so we use
those
that.
are mobile units also.
Correct.
Right.
They're mobile units by inadvertently for us. They're looking for cars they can repossess. They record the plates of cars parked in front of houses all over our city every single night. That's their job. When one hits that needs to be repossessed, they're able to tow it for financial reasons. We get that information in another way, and we run those plates, and we can turn on our computers, and if we get a suspicious vehicle, a description like the mayor said, or a plate, we plug it in, and because of our squads driving around and because of those tow trucks driving around every single day, we put those vehicles at houses and we solve crimes that way because that's where the people are laying their heads. Very successful already, even without the cameras. We're going to go off the map once the cameras go up. And
Chief,
they're
let me ask you a
coming.
question. Could you describe the system we set up? It's very comprehensive. We were asked about specific locations like specific exits and entrances to the city.
Yes and yes on the 2 that were mentioned.
Boy Scout
By
Road.
the way, Boy Scout Road and,
Yes.
and Goslin and State Line. Yes and yes.
We
Just
made
so you
it
know that.
hard to get out of the city without going below one of these. Okay? We know where our crime's coming from. It's not a lot of our crime is Hammond crime. A lot of it is what we call imported crime. All right? And if you got to drive into Hammond to commit the crime, you got to drive out of Hammond too. And we got you coming and going. And like I said, with the 2 kids that were running down the street with the guns, we knew what kind of car they had. That would have made our job so much easier.
All we need is a car description and a time frame or a plate number, no car description, no time frame. That's all we need to give us, and we usually know one or the other. We almost always know one or the other. So that we plug it into the computer and it'll kick back every, silver Ford, four-door that left the city via this route during its time frame of a crime, and we can pull up every single plate that went out that way. That's what we're going to be able to do. Then we can isolate that plate and run it. Above and beyond that, the last 2 mornings I was out helping out our guys, and I got that system on my computer. I have it up and running. Munster has a camera inside their city on Calumet Avenue. So my computer is set up to get alerts nearby. The same car got off the highway with a stolen plate and went into Munster both mornings at 7:30 this morning. So the stolen car is getting off the highway, going there for unknown reason. If it had come into Hammond, we'd have snatched it up. He went into Munster twice, a silver Nissan. I get a picture of it. It comes up on my screen, a picture of it. It says stolen plate, positive match, and it's southbound Calumet at this such and such camera, which I know is Munster's camera. That's how good it is. That's how fast it works. It's real time. And they drive by our squads, it beeps, and they say that the driver shouldn't be driving. The driver has a warrant. And that's the kind of stops we're making. We're covering guns and drugs when we make those stops. So when it gets fully on board, it's going to be phenomenal.
Hammond PD is one of the most advanced police departments as far as technology in Indiana easily. I mean, I read compilation of newspaper articles from across the state, and there's PDs that are bragging that they're getting, the cameras, the officers' body cameras. Every Hammond police officer has a body camera. And it's part of their requirements. If they interact with the public, they have to activate it when they interact with you. So we're way ahead of the curve on that. As far as this license plate reading technology, state of the art. Once we get these up, the PD is going to be, their computers are going to be beeping a lot with bad guys, and, we could literally curb them for that. So anyway, thanks for the question. I haven't been asked that question that directly. I'm not going to lie to you. So I wish I could tell you they were all up all summer. But you have to deal with huge bureaucracies. It gets hard. Yeah, Donna.
Next up, Chief, can you please enforce the law that prohibits cars from parking in the wrong direction? It's very dangerous.
I second that. And not only that, while we're at it, in the 3rd district, there's certain parks, you're not supposed to park along the parks, especially by City Hall, a lot of that going on. But that annoys me also. Well, this was just in general.
Yes, just general
Cars
enforcement.
parking in the wrong way. The one I had was right by City Hall.
New York Avenue.
Specifically,
New York Avenue, okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. It is a problem. It's a safety hazard when you're trying to enter and exit onto traffic, and it mainly applies to roads that have a divided line down the middle.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Let's keep rolling, Donna.
Okay.
Doing a great job.
Thank you. That means so much.
I'm gonna call it right now. When we had a bigger crowd than this, everybody in the crowd was there because of one issue. It was a big time issue. Like, we flooded real bad in one part of the city. I had mayor's night out 2 days later in that same neighborhood. It was scheduled like a year ahead of time. So we go walking into the neighborhood. I'm telling you, there had to be 150 angry people there. It was a bad meeting. This has been a pleasant meeting, by the way. Bigger crowd, though. I have to say, this is probably one of the biggest crowds I've had. Definitely the most questions, so I want to thank you. It's nice to have mayor's night out. Sometimes we go to mayor's night. Thank you. Sometimes we go to mayor's night, and there's my staff outnumbers the audience, so I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. So, yeah.
Mayor, kind of general, the next few. There's a vacant lot at 4145 Toll. Can you buy it and use it for teachers' parking?
Oh.
And he attached all the Lake County
for
stuff.
here, yeah, okay. Yeah. That sounds peculiar. I'm not sure who owns it. Chris, you want to jump in on this?
I mean, there are a lot of lots in the city of Hammond that the city of Hammond or redevelopment owns, and we're able to use those. But if we're going to acquire a piece of property, we need to have a purpose for it.
Right.
We do sell people side lots a lot of times, and it's usually for an amount that's the average of 2 appraisals, which covers our cost of the appraisal and title search. But we just can't go around buying.
We've had situations like this where in this particular case they want teacher parking.
Right.
I remember Clark High School, the school city bought
it.
Parcels,
Right.
eminent domained them,
Right.
and then they made teacher parking out of it. So these types of things are possible, but it would usually be the school city that acquired the property for the purpose of expanding teacher parking. We would cooperate like we did at Clark High School. It made sense. Clark High School, when I took over as mayor, was a real bad situation. I know it's gotten better, and I'm sure it's not perfect because it's high school students and they could be annoying. But this is the type of thing that we always cooperate with the school city on. So
I mean, if it's a city of Hammond owned lot, give me a call and we can look into it. But if
Right.
it's owned by a bank,
well, can we copy you onto that one? We'll just check it out. Copy Attorney Cantor.
It's here. Yeah, it looks
Thank you.
like it's got an owner, but the taxes haven't been paid.
All right.
Okay, well, it's going up on tax sale, so if anybody wants to pick it up on tax sale, then they could donate it to the school or
You have a
lease it
question?
to the school. Lease it to the school.
To teachers. Trust in New York?
Yeah. 50, fat lot of luck trying to find out those people. We probably tore down the building that was sitting on that property.
Okay. Is your question, sir? I thought it was from a teacher. Here. No, you fooled me.
Pick
Good
it up.
job.
If it's going up on tax sale, pick it up. You can get it for the taxes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We will follow that up and we'll check it out, okay? Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. And we have cooperated with the school city on issues like this, so maybe there's a partnership opportunity if the school city wants to do something like this for added teacher parking. So, hey, before we get to the next question, I want to congratulate and thank a gentleman for his fine years of service to the city of Hammond. He has no idea I'm doing this right now. In fact, I don't even think he's listening to me. He's in the back of the room right now. He's been our community affairs officer in the city of Hammond for a very long time. He's retiring. Officer Butch Logan is retiring after 20 years with the Hammond Police Department. Thanks, Butch. He's back there lobbying one of my councilmen right now for something, but I want to say thanks to Officer Butch, one of our great Hammond police officers, great community affairs officer, had an excellent career with the city of Hammond. We want to thank you for your service, Butch. Congratulations. Okay, let's go.
Mayor, have you given any further consideration regarding amending the ordinance to allow chicken keeping, female hens only?
Where is he?
In the city limits year-round
My man.
with parameters similar to other communities?
I'm going
in
to tell you
the-
guys a story, okay? What's your name again? Chris shows up to Mayor's Night Out 4 or 5 months ago, says, Mayor, you should have beekeeping in the city of Hammond. And we're like, that's what Mayor's Night is all about, Chris. Thank you for showing up with this great recommendation. So we go and we float an ordinance, and it got a huge fight because of it. I'm like, dang. But we passed it, and you can now keep bees in the city of Hammond because of this man, Chris. We should have named it after the ordinance after him. So do you have the bee colonies now going? What do they call the bee colonies again? Apiaries. I learned all kinds of interesting stuff about bees during that ordeal. Now Chris wants us to open the second chapter with chickens. Now, Chris did a lot of research on chickens. Chris Cantor. Chris, could you talk a little bit about why we have laws against chickens right now, and then we could decide if we want to take the next
Okay,
step.
first of all, I love chickens and I love eggs.
I love chicken.
I love chicken.
I'm super hungry right now,
I love
too.
chicken, love eggs. The problem is a number of years back, the city of Hammond specifically banned chickens. Well, not just because there were people who were fighting roosters, but they banned chickens because of the bird flu that was supposed to kill all of us. We're all going to die of bird flu. So because of that, we banned the chickens.
What year was that? Was that us?
Yeah.
I banned chickens?
Yeah, we banned chickens, and we made
I didn't even
exception
know
for
that.
Quackers the duck.
I'm sorry about that. It was obviously an ordinance I signed.
Yeah, so, no,
But we didn't want to die from the bird flu.
Yeah, at the time,
which
we
is
were
why
all
did
going to
it.
die of the bird flu, and, you know.
My job is to protect public safety.
And so because of that, when we went through the bee ordinance, it turned out to be, well, we had two groups of people. The groups of people that we were all going to die from being attacked by bees, and then the groups of people that said you should be able to keep bees in your mailbox if you want, and, you know, just put them in your pocket and drive around with them in your car. So between those two groups, we were finally able to come up with a middle road, but because of the issue with the H1N1 or the bird flu or whatever it was, I'm not sure that we're going to get a lot of support for the keeping of chickens in residential areas.
Yes, sir. Yeah, please. You're loud. Thank you. How many signatures? I got 500 and something earlier, so.
I don't have a single signature yet.
Oh, you're working on it. I got you.
And yet, I just want to directly respond to
Sure.
what the lawyer was saying. Backyard chicken keeping can help prevent the spread of bird flu, also called avian influenza or H5N1 virus. It is the huge multi-million-dollar bird fragile flock factory farms that raise immune-compromised, homogeneously bred monocrop chickens that are far, far greater of a threat of causing an epidemic of the bird flu virus. Salmonella is the result of poor food handling practices and insufficient refrigeration. A small, healthy backyard flock helps ensure we are getting high-quality, disease-free eggs. Backyard chicken keeping provides many benefits, which is why many towns and cities across the country now permit residents to raise chickens in their backyard.
Could you do me a favor? Could you give that to Donna? And then I'm going to have Donna copy me onto that question, and I will follow it up. I appreciate it.
There's a lot more. A lot more to it.
I'm not opposed to the idea. Right. And I'm sure there's people that would be, but like, I did know somebody that was raising chickens in Hammond. I didn't even realize it was against city ordinance. And I knew a guy that did it, but his chickens died because they got attacked by a hawk or something like that. So.
And so
it was a fox
people raising chickens, keeping chickens, have to protect their chickens.
Yeah.
I just want to throw one last thing on this topic, which is that they help. My neighbors walk by my property, and we engage each other in conversation about the chickens.
You're flaunting the law.
What's that?
You're raising chickens now, despite city ordinance.
It wasn't,
You're like admitting.
It wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional, right?
You should have said my buddy, my friend.
I brought the chickens home. I brought the chickens home. I looked on the website, on the city website. I recognized that they were. I learned that they were illegal.
Hold on. Let me ask a question. Ron, grab the microphone real quick, please. Ron, do you see because we have restrictions on noise, things like that? Is this?
I mean, this is part of the noise ordinance in regards to making noise for animals and things along that line. We've had a couple complaints concerning roosters, but chickens in general, we've had a couple complaints in Robertsdale, but nothing serious.
Do chickens make a lot of noise?
Excuse me?
Roosters do.
Roosters usually.
Which I thank the gentleman for bringing up. What we're asking for is legalization of hens, not roosters, just hens for laying eggs. We don't want any roosters in Hammond. I don't want a rooster in my backyard waking me up any earlier than I have to get up to go to work.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I'd like to touch on real quick is that with that engagement of conversation with my neighbors, I'm developing relationships, and these little guys back here, my nephews, come by to visit me, to see the chickens, to hang out, and they learn things when they come by to hang out and visit the chickens. And so there's a lot of positive to this.
I agree.
And
I'm not opposed per se.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
And so with the last breath, I'd just like to ask that anyone in attendance this evening who would like to sign the petition, we have a copy.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
Afterwards.
I appreciate it. And please, Donna will turn that into me, okay? Thanks. Good job, Chris. I appreciate it. Okay. So, I generally, as an attorney, I generally don't advise my clients to admit in public forums that they're breaking the law, but, Chris. So, okay, let's go ahead, Donna.
Mayor, what is the purpose of the ambulatory clinic on Calumet Avenue? What services are provided and who can use the services?
Jeff, can you? That's an appropriate question for my fire chief. Doesn't get asked a lot of questions at Mayor's Night Out, and I like to keep him on his toes, so help us out, Jeff.
I believe it's just a privately owned doctor's office. The Hammond Fire Department doesn't have anything to do with it. If anybody's transported there or away from there, it's usually by a private ambulance service, so we don't transport.
Private business.
Yeah, for private reasons, to make doctor visits. Maybe they don't have a vehicle or they're not ambulatory, and they have to be taken there by a private ambulance service. So we don't transport from there unless they need to go to the hospital really fast. We'll take them. Okay. We don't have anything to do with it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah? I wonder that in a lot of cases. Fannie Mae Candy is one of them I always think is a front. Like, Fannie Mae Candy never has a car in the parking lot, and they have great locations. I always try to... I figure they're playing cards in the back room or something. All right, thank you. All right, next question.
Mayor, I live in Hammond, but use a Whiting mailing address. When will Robertsdale get to use a Hammond mailing address and a zip code?
Your councilman and I love this question.
Maybe we should
Councilman-
forward Warple. We should forward this to Councilman Warple.
I agree. Councilman Kowinski and I had this same exact conversation this morning. Right, Mark? We said, one of the things that bugs me is when I hear a Hammond resident and you say, Hammond resident, where do you live? And they say, Whiting. I say, what's your address? And they read off a Hammond address. I'm like, you live in Hammond. It's like, start saying Hammond. It's annoying. As the mayor of Hammond, it annoys me. I hate it. Hate it. It bugs me. I wish we had our own post office. We're the bigger city. It should be Hammond.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Some of us that operate businesses in Hammond, up in Robertsdale, use 46320.
Yep.
Yeah, we do. We
Thank
go
you.
Hammond, Indiana.
Appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's definitely, it's
It's
possible.
true though, right? Isn't that annoying? You see it all the time, Mylan.
Drives us crazy, especially, Mayor, when we have kids that want jobs, and we have to look, and then we have to know exactly where they live. Right, Sharon? Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, it's tough.
It's annoying.
It is.
But the whole reason for that is, and there's some people that live in Hammond that honestly think they live in Whiting. That really annoys me. And they're like college-bound students. I'm like, you're going to school in the city of Hammond. At least get it straight, right? It's annoying, but back in the day when they built the Whiting Post Office, they included Robertsdale into it. And we're sort of stuck with that. It's an education. And as your mayor, I correct people all the time about this very issue. And it's so funny. Mark and I have never talked about it. We talked about it today, and I know it annoys him as much as it annoys me. I'm very proud of living in the city. So, Cal College, when I first took over as mayor, I'm glad you brought that up. And I love Cal College. I have a great relationship. The new doctor at Cal College is outstanding, by the way. If you haven't had a chance to meet her, she's great. You're going to love her. But when I first took over as mayor, I see Cal College billboards, and it says Whiting, Indiana on it. And I would get so steamed as your mayor, just steamed. And I remember Dr. Rittenmeyer and I talked, and he wanted our help on something. We wanted to help, but it was one of the specific things I asked him at the time. You got to change the billboards, doctor. And then he said, well, how about we put nothing? I said, that's fine. Just don't put Whiting, because if Hammond's going to be using taxpayer money to help Cal College, then I think you should have the right city listed in Hammond. So I'm glad you brought that up. We love Cal College. I want to make that clear. And it's just something, as the mayor, it really bugged me, is we have 2 universities in our city, and something we also should be very proud of. And they followed it up, and they're really good about it now. I want to point that out. So, yeah. No, I agree. No, I'm talking about, it was on a billboard. It said, Calumet College, Whiting Schools, or something like that. I'm like, right. No, I get that. If it's a mailing address, I get that. I'm talking about when they were advertising the school, it would say Whiting, Indiana. I was like, and I couldn't really do anything until they needed our help on something. I'm like, hey, if we're helping you on this, which we did, can you help me on this? It's a PR thing for our city. We're proud to have Calumet College in our city. So anyway.
Plus, you're giving all those kids college bound. The least they could do is say Hammond.
A lot of college-bound kids at Calumet College. A lot. Calumet College did something a few years ago, which was smart, is they lowered their tuition for college-bound students. There used to be a gap where if you went to Cal College, you would still owe them money, and Cal College lowered their tuition for those students. And as a result, they get a lot more of our students, college-bound students, are going there. Sharon, are you here? Cal College, I'm going to say, we know Purdue Northwest, the biggest destination. IUN, and then Cal College? No, they're in our top 10. Top 10? But it is. 50% of our kids do stay local, though, right? Yeah. Purdue? Right. So, all right, next question.
You know how we like to end on a high note, Mayor?
Thank goodness.
You're doing a great job as mayor of Hammond, but we would love to see you do a great job for the entire state as our governor.
Yeah. Thank you. He's just trying to get rid of me. This is not a friendly state right now. This is not a really friendly state right now. I love being in Hammond. It's a friendly city. We have our issues, and we work together and get through them. And I love my job, and I appreciate the 14 years you've given me as your mayor. I hope I've grown a lot. I know I've grown a lot. And I know I'm not always right, and that's something I realize. I'm not always right. And I think Councilman and I did good work for the residents of the 1st District today. I think we'll be able to move forward because I'm not always right. And you like to think you're right, and but you're not always right. And sometimes you make mistakes, and I just want you to know it's always coming from a good place. We got to get ready for 2 years from now. So, is that the last question?
Yes, sir.
Biggest attended Mayor's Night Out, without a doubt. Most questions asked, without a doubt. Thank you to the First District for a great Mayor's Night Out. Thank you to our host Councilman Mark Kowinski. And one more time for Officer Butch Logan. Congratulations on a great career, Butch. So, thank you guys. Have a nice day.